The AFCA will be hosting the digital convention February 20th to the 21st. All you need is an active AFCA membership to attend. Come join us to learn more from coaches around the country in this 2-day clinic featuring videos from the 2023 convention. Go to afca.com and log in with your membership information. Then click Digital Library to access the videos. This week on Inside the Headset, we are featuring our Division II Coach of the Year discussion. The coaches recap this past season, reflect on key mentors in their life, and discuss the connections they have made through the AFCA. The Regional Coach of the Year winners for Division II are Region 1, Ernie McCook, Shepherd University. Region 2, Chennis Berry, Benedict College. Region 3, Matt Mitchell, Grand Valley State University. Region 4, Todd Knight, Ouachita Baptist University. Region 5, Brandon Moore, Colorado School of Mines. Now, let's get inside the headset.
Gentlemen, congratulations, not just on great seasons, but I think one of the great things about this award is the fact that this was voted on by your peer group. It wasn't the media who maybe don't always know. This is the coaches in your region that have tremendous respect for what you guys did. And so I want to congratulate you guys all on great seasons. It's a tremendous honor to be up, and quite honestly, I'm humbled to be up here with you guys.
Thank you.
Love the profession, love what you guys do as coaches. And so again, congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I want to start this off with kind of talking about your seasons. We all have had some great seasons, maybe some that weren't so great, and there's a lot of things that kind of come into play, I think, to have that great season. And sometimes they're a little different. Yours become very unique. And so I kind of would like to run down through the group here and kind of talk about why this season turned out the way that it did for you. What were the key factors in doing that? So Ernie, let's start with you. Congratulations again. But let's talk about your season this year. Great season.
Yeah.
What were some of the separating factors between this season and seasons prior?
It really does start with our locker room. All the players that have committed to our program, and a lot of these guys are guys that have fought through the COVID time, and I think they've demonstrated a tremendous amount of grit and determination, and what I think is love for the game of football. And I think that's our players, our coaches, the things that they've overcome throughout the last several years kind of culminated into this football season. And our season was a game of, the ball bouncing our way, things went our way, and opportunities happened for us. And I think we had a bunch of kids that stuck together.
Talk about your season and what made it special.
Wow, what a blessed season. I think one of the main things for us, when I go back, this was my second season as the head coach at Benedict College, and we took over a program that hadn't seen a lot of winning in the past. And we put God first. We really do in all that we do, and I think there's a lot of favor was on our side this year as well. So when we go back to looking at how it all evolved, when we left the convention last year, I had my first team meeting, and we set a mission. We don't really set goals, we set missions. And we set a mission, and we made a hashtag going into the off season, hashtag 111222. And what that really was, nobody on the outside knew what it was, but what it was November the 12th, 2022. That was the SIC championship game. And we set a mission that all that we did in the off season, we were gonna set a mission to get to that date. And as we were going through the season, when we got in training camp, everybody wants to win a championship. but one of our hashtags on the back of our weight room shirts was pay the fee. It costs to be a champion. So you have to pay the fee, and the fee is focus, effort, and execution. And as we went through the year, we had our first team meeting. I said, from this day forward, when we got in camp and training camp, and I said, guys, we won't even talk about championship. We're going to fall in love with the process of becoming great. So we, through the team meetings in the evenings, we read a book as a team. I mean, every night we had the leadership council had to present about this book called Chop Wood, Carry Water. And it's by Joshua Metcalf, and it talks about surrendering the outcome and fall in love with the process of becoming great. So with that, we didn't talk about winning games. We just talked about winning the day. Be the best we can be every day. Don't worry about the end goal. Just be the best we can be every day. And when we got the rolling at the beginning, it's about midway through the season, and we're about 4-0, but we're not even talking about being 4-0. We're just talking about being 1-0 every day. Just win 1-0, and people in the media were starting to ask us, well, guys, what's your record right now? Well, we're 1-0. We're just trying to be 1-0 every day, and it kind of caught on to the whole team. And that just manifested to, week after week, we kept looking up and continue to be 1-0, and just keep falling in love with the process. And we end up finishing our regular season as 10-0, and played in the SIC championship on 1-1-1, 2-2-2. And we beat Tuskegee by a large margin, and we ended up going 11-0 in the regular season. So that's kind of how our season went. The guys, they just start falling in love with it. And as the leader, I have to lead from the front. And, when I start saying it, obviously it started catching on to the coaches and to the leadership council, and it started trickling down to the players. So we just focused on surrendering the outcome and just falling in love with the process of being great. And I'm just grateful that our young men bought into that, and it led us to an unbelievable season.
So much of this thing is about culture, and I think we're in so many challenges right now as coaches in this transfer environment that we're finding ourselves in terms of trying to maintain the culture. And again, you mentioned your second year, and how fast these things have to turn nowadays. Matt, congratulations on a great season. You guys have got a culture there that's been established. And that's difficult to kind of continue over a period of time. I had a coach at one point in time talk about having success, and kind of the disease of me starts setting in to where, you have expectations that, this is how things are always going to be, but you're not always kind of maybe willing to pay the price to get there. Again, congratulations on the season. Let's talk about your season this year.
Sure. No, I agree. A lot of expectations. I would say, starting with my staff, I have a tremendous staff. And we had continuity. We were able to really have a lot of coaches able to retain. And so that was just really critical for me as a head coach to have that continuity. And I have some great assistant coaches. I think heading into the season, we knew the challenges of the season. On our schedule, we had two teams that played in the national semifinal on the schedule in the regular season. It ended up that we played 4 playoff teams in our schedule. And so, I think I had a roster of guys, to Coach McCook's point, we didn't have any competition in 2020 in Division II. And so, coming out of that, we're 22-3, but those guys made a lot of sacrifices that year. Like, you go a full year without playing college football, that's really difficult. And there was actually a class that, is starting to play now, which I had a lot of respect for, that redshirted in 2019, didn't play in 2020. And so basically almost went 3 years from high school football to playing college football. Yeah. And the amount of respect that I had for those players and what they did. And so those guys have put in all that work, and they knew the deal. And we had our voluntary summer workouts were just unbelievable, really a pure lead team. And, I know we had a great season, and winning as always makes things a lot easier as a coach, but this was the most fun I've ever had being a coach. I had a blast. I had a great group of guys. And it was a joy. It was really brought a lot of joy coming in every day and being around those guys. Certainly there's challenges, there's highs and lows, things that happen in the season. But they filled me with energy. And I felt that energy coming from our players. And so that really motivated me and my staff to give our players the best. And so that synergy that occurred, I think that occurs between the coaches and the athletes, it starts to grow and build, and then that manifests itself, in my opinion, in terms of the production, of the performance, of the things that end up happening. So it was a lot of fun. It was really a lot of fun to be a part of this team this season.
That's great. That enjoyment. I'm just listening to you. I can hear that coming from you. That's awesome. And this again, in doing several of these panels, that kind of the coaching consistency too. We kind of talk a lot about our players, but so much of the staff continuity. that kind of plays into it too, because I think, as you're right, everybody enjoys more. They enjoy the game, they enjoy each other more when all of a sudden there's already that relationship.
Yeah, 100%. And the continuity with the relationships, but also the schemes, the fundamentals, the techniques. In this transfer portal era, there's a lot of movement. When you have that consistency of coaches, and they know every day when they come in the building that relationship is that foundation is solid. I think that really helps. When you don't have a lot of turnover in your staff, and we've lost some coaches, and it'll happen. That's
sure. I
want the best for my guys. I want my guys to have great professional opportunities, but we're fortunate to hound them, and I think that really helped us hit the ground running.
Yeah. Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Great season. Todd, I'm going to ask you the same question, but if you guys don't mind, I'm going to pat this guy on the back a little bit, because Todd has been on our board of trustees, the AFCA, for years now. He's our incoming president, so obviously I have a relationship with Todd that goes back many, many years. And Todd, congratulations on your great season, not just from all of our coaches, but from our board of trustees, as you've represented Division II in an outstanding way all these years. So appreciate your service. Let's talk about your season.
Well, Todd, this year was really an unusual year, and these guys really stole some of the things I would say. It starts with us with the retention of coaches, just what Matt talked about. I've had some coaches on my staff since the 90s, which is really incredible to have guys that long, especially in coordinator positions, that are just outstanding coaches and great leaders. Also, Coach McCook talked about it. A player-led team will beat a coach-led team, I think, 100% of the time. And, having the COVID guys, the 6-year guys, especially on the offensive line, I think you win the game up front. And we've got guys on the offensive and defensive line that are 5th and 6-year guys that really made a difference. But, I could talk about all those things, but really the thing that really shaped this year is a little bit unusual. We had a death of a player. We had a player pass after our first game, and I'll try to get through this as I talk about it. Clark Yarborough, a senior defensive lineman, super leader on our team, and really set the standard on not just how to play the game, but how to live your life. And when you lose a leader like that and a great young man like that, it really changes the complexion of the season. As much as I would like to talk about the Great American Conference Championship and the NCAA playoffs and those things are goals and missions like Coach talked about a while ago, but really when you go through the process that we did, we learned a lot about ourselves. We learned a lot about our what it really takes to be a man. We learned that really from Clark. And week 2 we go to we're playing Arkansas Tech, but we're in Dallas on Friday for the funeral. We take 160 people, managers, trainers, video staff, team, coaches. We go to Clark's funeral, and to go through that process with Clark's mom, with Maddie, and then get on a bus and drive back to Arkansas and play a football game. In some ways, it felt so selfish to even play ball. But the expectations were from Maddie and other parents who were close to Maddie is that we need to get busy and go. And I appreciate this year, even parents. In college football, you don't get as close to parents like you do in high school ball. But, some of these senior parents that had a relationship and have a relationship with Clark's mom, they were great leaders too. I had a mom, I was trying to figure out what to do the Tuesday after Clark's death on Sunday. Do we even practice? What do we do right now? I've never been through this during the season. What are we supposed to do? And I had a mother call me and she said, Coach, what are you doing right now? And it was the mother of our running back, T.J. Cole, who's an All-American. And I said, well, I'm just sitting here at my desk trying to figure out what to do. And she said, well, I know one thing. I want those boys to get busy, and I want you to get busy. And I felt like it was a call from God. I really do. That Regina Cole called me and said, go to work. And that's what we did. That's what our team did. And as tough as that situation was, again, we learned a lot, and I think we played our best ball, not just because we were playing ball, but we were playing for a greater cause, and really felt like we had purpose in the season. So it was an amazing year to really go through that, and we're still dealing with it. Those are things that when you go through a death of a player, it's not something that you get over. It's something you work through, and I think we'll be working through this the rest of our life. But again, Clark Yarborough, the Ouachita seniors, and the way the guys reacted was pretty amazing.
I'm getting a little choked up too. I had that happen to me a couple times as a head coach, unfortunately. And I think the way that you put that of getting through it, that is that is so accurate about just you never get over it. You just try to get through it.
And Todd, I will say one more thing too: the outreach of coaches, the things that were sent that we still. I mean, we got a shipment last week that we sent to Clark's mother. But, there's been times I've sat on my hands as a coach when something's happened across the country, I'll never do it again. The outreach we've had from coaches in this association has been amazing. And it's been very, very, very good for Maddie, Clark's mom, and our staff and our kids. And there's no way I can call out all the names because there's been so many, but I'm very appreciative of coaches and what coaches mean.
Yeah, I'm going to follow up on that. I certainly don't want to dominate the conversation, but I think you've got a point of, this came out a little bit yesterday too. This is a band of brothers as coaches, right? We are challenged to do some of the things that we're doing, especially in the environment that we're in, and we all share those same experiences. It's just like our players go through in the sense that we've got kind of this perfect society, in my opinion anyway, in the sense that it doesn't matter what your daddy did or whether you're rich or poor or black or white or what your religion is. We all get in the huddle together, and we've got this perfect society. You wish that the rest of society could actually emulate the things that we do, because we're all just about who can contribute to those things. And knowing kind of what you went through, Todd, and the sentiments that you kind of suggested that these other coaches provided, it is wonderful, because I went through the same things, unfortunately, a couple of times, and so I remember that. But thanks for sharing that. I think that was very personal. I appreciate you doing that. Sure. Brandon, congratulations, great season.
Thank you.
That joining these guys as a regional winner is just, again, knowing that those coaches voted for you. I think that's one of the best feelings that there is. And so let's talk about your season, what made the season special for you, and was it the culture, was it the lead up to from the team standpoint? Just share with us maybe your season.
Well, it was an exciting season. It was scary at times. We opened up with two of the best teams in the country, hands down. And for a first-year head coach, for a guy taking over a successful program and a winning program, it was a bit of a calamity that first week. Flying into Grand Valley, the travel and everything like that, all the little logistical things and the things you don't think about as an assistant or even as a coordinator all kind of jump you at once when you're a head coach. And in that element, just going up and playing a team in that environment, it was eye-opening, to say the least, to start my season. And following it up with Angelo and taking that first loss at home was difficult, being able to regroup. But ultimately, it was just like everyone has mentioned at least once or twice. It's the leadership component. My seniors carried me through. My seniors carried me through, and my staff carried me through. We went through that whole mission together, the entire season together. We got better week after week, and I think that's what it was about. It was about just taking the next step and opening the next door and just moving a little bit further, one game at a time, one day at a time, one moment at a time was kind of our mantra this year. And taking all those elements into it and just taking it one day at a time and not trying to solve the world's problems too far ahead, I think benefited us this year. Our staff continuity was great. I didn't lose anyone from Greg Brandon's staff, which just added to the familiarity for everyone else. Sure. Which was awesome. We didn't have to fix things that weren't broken, and we didn't have to start from scratch. I inherited a very strong program. I inherited a great staff and a good culture, to say the least. Just to be able to carry those things through and to take those next steps was awesome this year.
Yeah, but still, first year, I mean, I went through 3 of those where I was a first-year head coach at a place, and just the challenges. And obviously, you had some familiarity, as you suggested, but that's an incredible feat, knowing that so many things still are changing, even though there is some continuity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
we've all recognized, I think especially in our roles as head coaches, the everything that we are has been built off of somebody else, right? The help of somebody else. And we certainly don't have to go through every influence. But I would like to kind of talk to the influence of coaches. And, because I can certainly look back on mine and say that my high school coach was, single parent mom. She made minimum wage. We lived in Indian housing. I grew up in this environment where I really needed a male role model. And I was so fortunate to have my high school coach. And so I want to talk about those individuals, whether they be parents, high school coaches, collegiate coaches, those guys that who raised you up, and why was that so important for you at the time? So Ernie, let's go ahead and again we'll start with you.
I'm going to echo what you said. My high school coach was a great role model for me. Showed me what a husband and a father looks like, and I thought was awesome. It's still a great influence to me today. It's awesome when I get a chance to get communication from him. He follows our season and stays up on it, and
that's great.
I'm really appreciative of that. I'm really appreciative of the relationships that I've formed over the last 30 years, and the help that I've gotten from coaches, players, coaches that you would compete against. And I'm going to tell this story, if you don't mind, Matt.
For sure.
Yeah. After my second year,
Well, wait, Terry. Let's wait to see how the story is first.
It just tells you what the profession's all about. After my first year as a head coach, I really felt like Coach Moore talked about, there's so many things you got to learn. And my wife said, hey, I can do a teacher workshop either in Michigan or Georgia. And I said, well, let's see if we can go to Michigan, and I'll see if I can go spend some time at Grand Valley. And so my wife set this workshop up out in Allendale, Michigan. Yep. And I had a chance to spend a whole week at Grand Valley. Okay, and Matt was so gracious, and his staff was helpful to giving me ideas on how to improve my program. And I'm really grateful for that today. And it's guys like him in this room that I just find a lot of, I appreciate the relationships and the fellowship that you have. And we have that within our program. I've learned from our players. I've had some great young men that have taught me. But if I had to, Matt, I don't know if you realize this, but when we played in the playoffs last year, he let us practice at Grand Valley, was great to our team. And our athletic director and the president of the board of governors was on the flight going into Grand Rapids, and the president of the board of governors said, hey, are you going to come see practice? He goes, I think my wife and I are going to take in Grand Rapids. I said, I really need you to come and see Grand Valley. And Matt took our vice president for athletics, the president of the board of governors, and showed them their entire facility. As Coach Moore talked about, what a great facility and great culture they have at Grand Valley. But I'm thankful for all the coaches that have helped me grow as a coach. And there's times I think about, man, I would love to be in the basement of Wesley College with a VHS tape watching film. Now everything's so advanced and stuff like that, but you miss the old times. But you appreciate what the future brings.
Yeah.
I'm kind of bounced around, but it is the relationships that you form. And it's with other coaches, it's with your team, the administrators that you have. I think on our campus, I'm blessed. I have a tremendous president, a tremendous vice president for athletics that are very committed to our athletic program and football, and the other administrative offices around campus. And I think that allows us to be able to operate where our kids feel important. And so it's all about the relationships that are, for me, the relationships that go back from my high school coach, college coach, the coaches I've worked with over the years, because there's a little bit of every coach that I've worked for over the years in our program. There's something that I've picked up from every coach that I've worked for over the years that is involved in Shepherd University's program.
You brought up something too that I found always unique with our collective group is, we're competitors on the field, and yet we're always there for each other. And you wouldn't think that Apple would let Microsoft come in and find out what their secrets are, or Tesla let GM come in. It wouldn't happen in any other part of society, and yet we're so giving of ourselves to try to help other coaches maybe find a way to get better. Sure. And it is truly a unique profession. Chinnis, let's go to you. Let's talk about kind of those influences that you had in your life, and that made you who you are.
Well, first of all, there are so many influences and individuals that have really impacted myself and my career. I mean, I can take a little bit from every head coach that I've worked for. And those individuals, first of all, gave me an opportunity. And I'm grateful for opportunities. Myself, I'm a first-time head coach as well. And I was an assistant coach for 26 years before the good Lord blessed me with an opportunity to become a head football coach at Benedict College. And I left a good situation. I was an offensive coordinator at Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana for 7 seasons, and we won a lot of ball games there. But I felt like it was my time to take the next step, and I'm grateful for every head coach that I've ever been blessed to work for. I mean, you're talking about 8 or 9 different head coaches over my career, and like Coach said, you take a little bit from each and every one of them and pour it into your program. But it's always going to be, for me, I'm a disciplined guy. It's all about discipline, because I don't believe you can win without discipline. And all those guys have impacted my career throughout, and I'm just grateful for opportunities. And if you go back to, if you could say one individual that really impacted my career, it's really 2, but I'll start with the individual that gave me an opportunity, and that is my old head football coach from college. I played at Savannah State College at the time, and his name is Bill Davis. William Bill Davis, he gave me an opportunity because he watched me play basketball and offered me a football scholarship. And I was blessed to go to Savannah State as a first-generation college student, first in my family to ever get a bachelor's degree, first in my family to ever get a master's degree. Come from humble beginnings, and just grateful for him giving me a chance, an opportunity. And I learned so much from him just watching him as a player on how he kind of navigated and ran a successful program, and giving guys opportunity to, he always talked about you get one chance in life to make a first impression, and your appearance, how you look, how you speak, how you talk, you lead from the front. And he taught me so many values that I even apply now to my coaches. I have a young staff, and just getting them to understand we're leaders of men. So everything that we do on a day-to-day basis, they're impressionable young men, so they were watching everything we do. You're talking about 17 to now, with Division II, I'm learning that they could be 25, 26, 27. So I had to kind of learn that. But, you're talking about impressionable young men, and a lot of times they're fatherless, a lot of them. So we play a big role. So how we dress, how we speak, how we talk, how we interact. And in today's game, is so much mental health that we have to deal with as well. I mean, we're everything. We're counselors. We check classes. I mean, we have to do it all on our level. And I'm just grateful for all the head coaches throughout my time as an assistant coach to give me an opportunity, and I learned so much from them. And opportunities don't always come. So what you do with those opportunities, you have to take advantage of it. So, for me, I've been an offensive line coach my whole career. And I was, blessed in 2003 at North Carolina A&T to be an offensive coordinator that was a play caller as well. And an O-line coach, as an O-line coach, a lot of times we don't get a chance to be play callers. And I was just blessed for that opportunity. But every time somebody gave me a chance, I tried to make the best of it because I was grateful. And our president, Dr. Rosalind Carter, that's the president at Benedict College, she gave me an opportunity. So I'm grateful for her. And she said, Coach, we've never won a football championship in the history of Benedict College, and we're bringing you here to make a difference. And I'm grateful for her because she believed in the program and invested in the facilities and invested in the coaching staff and invested in building a brand. And I feel like now we have a brand where we're noticeable now. So again, just people giving me an opportunity, and just grateful for those opportunities. And every head coach that I've worked for, I believe there's a little bit of the things that I've learned in our program, and it always starts with discipline.
Yeah, it's a conglomeration of quite a few people many times.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Matt, same question to you.
Sure. Appreciate the comments, Coach McCook. So,
that was a fun week, though.
Yeah. No, I had a blast with you, too. List is long, just a couple highlights. I'm a D3 guy, so that's my roots. Played Division III football. I had a head coach, Steve Miller, was a phenomenal coach. And I look back and, man, just the influence he had probably on me, especially Division III, no scholarships, a lot of the sacrifices you make. And so he was great. I was a head high school coach, and there was a guy who gave me an opportunity, and I took a massive pay cut, but basically was a Division III GA at Wartburg College. His name was Rick Willis. And I've been around a lot of coaches now, coaching college football for 24 years. And there's a lot of great coaches at lower levels. And Rick Willis was I was there 4 years with him, and I am where I am now because of him. I mean, he taught me how to coach. He really taught me how to coach and the details, and spent that time and invested in me to bring me along. And so there's a huge debt of gratitude I have there. Worked for Chuck Martin at Grand Valley State, who's now in Miami, Ohio. So I was with him for 6 years. He prepared me to be the head coach at Grand Valley. Was really influential there. So I've had some great head coaches that I've played or worked for, and those guys have really taken the time to invest in me, and I've tried to pass that forward to my staff as a head coach moving forward. So one thing I'd say too, though, Todd, I want to bring this up for everybody watching. If, as coaches, try to share your scars and things you wish you could have done better. Initially in my career, especially as an assistant coach, initially as a head coach, I wasn't as involved as I could have been with the AFCA or with the NCAA. And the last probably 5-6 years, I've been more intentional about trying to serve and be on things, whether it's the Coaches Connection through the AFCA, which I'm on right now, the Division II Football Committee, trying to do more of those things. And that has also made me a better coach, and it's allowed me to meet some great men. Todd Knight is very influential within the AFCA. He's in my super region, so there's a relationship there. Coach, I would go through all the guys that are Division II coaches. I don't know if I would have had those connection points if I would have stayed siloed. And so I would just encourage anybody that's watching here, try to get involved. I mean, even if you're a younger coach, serve on an AFCA registration committee, do something, because I think that service will open up a lot of doors for you. And that sacrifice that you make will provide opportunities to build these connection points, and you meet great people and you have these relationships. As much as Coach McCook may think he learned from me, we were also talking to him, and I was learning more about how he operated. And so there's a balance and a give and take in all those things. And I don't know, those opportunities don't all exist if you don't get out there and engage with people.
I really appreciate you saying that. Obviously, I know how much the AFCA, especially as a young coach, changed the direction of my career, because as you suggested, I got involved and I met so many people, and so many of those people are the ones that carried me through my profession. And one of the reasons why I actually took the job was because I felt like I owed so much back to the association for what it did for me. So I really appreciate that. And I also, you said something else. And one of the things that I always tried to talk to my young coaches about as they were looking for things is, money's important, but don't always chase money, especially as a young coach. Chase opportunities.
Amen.
Try to find people that you know are going to mold you the right way, that you're going to learn something from. The money will come later. Absolutely. If you chase the right opportunities early on.
Completely. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Todd, same question for you.
Yeah, I really appreciate Matt and his comments. I really was a lot like Matt early in my career, because I wasn't involved, and I think the involvement is open doors, relationships, all those kind of things. And I think about Mel Churchman, I think about Lee Owens, I think about Paul Winters. I mean, just three guys right there that I've gotten to know really through the AFCA. I wouldn't have known those guys because we're not in the same conferences, or one guy may have retired earlier. So definitely the AFCA has been very impactful for me and the Board of Trustees as well. But to the original question, the guys that have influenced me, it would start with my dad. And my dad was not a football coach. He should have been. Discipline, some of the things that Coach talked about a while ago, some of the things that I learned about tough love really started at home for me. And Coach also mentioned a while ago about so many of our players don't have that, and a lot of our coaches too. And I feel like sometimes God puts you in those positions to share that with other people. What it means to be a great dad is really the same thing as what it means to be a great coach. So for me, it started at home, and then guys have influenced me naturally, my high school football coaches, but in college, Buddy Bob Benson at Ouachita Baptist University. It started with him, and then it goes to a guy by the name of David Lee at the University of Texas at El Paso that I served under. And I learned how to be a head football coach under David. He did the little things, and he did things right, and he was a man of faith, and showed how you could use your faith in the profession and it's okay, So David Lee was huge, and then a guy by the name of Red Parker. There's never been a better motivator or a guy that can teach scheme and fundamentals like Coach talked a while ago than Red Parker. So I've had some great influences in the profession, and I'm very thankful that my path ran across those guys. I had a chance to learn from some, I consider some of the best. And again, back to the AFCA, I'm appreciative to be sitting up here with these guys, the best in the profession, voted on by the coaches to be here. So it's a lot of fun to sit here, and I'm honored and humbled to even sit here among these guys as well.
That's great. Brandon, same question to you.
My biggest influences, I'm just going to start with my dad. Discipline and accountability, just one day after the next, over and over and over again. Wasn't always about football, but about life, but about how we carry ourselves and what our expectation was and what his expectation was of me. So he was my largest influence throughout life. My second biggest influence was my brother, who was also a coach, but just, man, he laid a blueprint out for me to follow, and I tried as best I could. And he's always been a person with great character first, but also a teacher. I think I learned to teach from my brother, just the lessons that he gave me growing up. And he was my first coach. As a kid, as a 10-year-old, just taking me out and doing different things with me, and just having that kind of impact on my life. And the last guy is probably Mike Singletary. Just got the opportunity to play for him for 2 years, and I learned the personal side of it is so much more important than the football side of it. It's about how much you care, not how much you coach. Was kind of the influence that I got from him. Just stay strong in your faith, stay strong in your relationships with your players. Those are paramount and key over everything else. Is the relationships you build with these young men, and being able to fill holes that they have in life, especially on the college level.
And Mike's such a powerful speaker
He's a force.
And motivator.
Oh yeah.
That would be a great pleasure to have an opportunity to spend time with him. Well, gentlemen, this has been exactly what I wanted. It was a great segment. I really appreciate kind of all the personal things that you shared in this. I think it's great for a lot of our young coaches in particular to hear some of the things that you guys said today. And so once again, congratulations on your great seasons.
Thank you.
On being Coach of the Year in your regions. What a great honor again. And I thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Inside the Headset. If you heard anything on this episode that you would like to learn more information about, head over to afcapodcast.com, where you can find every episode and all of the corresponding show notes. While you're there, take a second to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for the show, please let us know by sending an email to podcast@afca.com. Make sure to follow the podcast on Twitter @InsideTheHeadset and tag it when you share each episode. You can stay up to date with all things AFCA by following the @WeAreAFCA Twitter account. Every episode of Inside the Headset can also be found on your favorite audio streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. If you are not currently a member of the AFCA, be sure to find us online at afca.com and apply to join over 10,000 NFL, college, and high school coaches from around the country who are striving to be the best they can be. With an AFCA membership, you gain invaluable access to the annual AFCA convention, the bi-monthly magazine, and the new and improved digital library, which contains thousands of videos and articles contributed by hundreds of current and former football coaches. You can also visit afcainsider.com to sign up for our free weekly email newsletter on the right-hand side of the screen. It comes out every Tuesday at lunch and is filled with great articles and stories written by many of the same coaches you hear on the podcast. It's geared to help you become a better coach tomorrow than you are today. Be sure to connect with me on Twitter @CoachMarioPrice, and remember, the AFCA is not just an annual convention. It is an association that continually promotes education, guidance, and networking. But it is also so much more than that. The AFCA is about celebrating the past and educating the future. It is about developing great coaches who will produce great teams and even better people. So invest in your skill set and impact today by engaging with the AFCA.